Oh, jeez. Says I'm live. It's a known liar. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to try to spread this around. I hate YouTube. It's such a pile of crap. You know, it's not even crap. It's like they went up into some animal and scraped the inner wall of the bowels. It's the pond scum crap. YouTube. All right. Pond scum crap. YouTube. I'm telling you, man, oh, you know what? I don't know. I got to get this stupid thing going on. I got to put this up here. Up in here. All right. I'm not sure it's going to work. Yeah, man, what the fuck you doing, bitch? Give me Google accounts. Request access to streaming. We can take up to 24 fucking hours to get access to live streaming at this shithole known as YouTube. Well, goddamn. Or they got to go check with a bunch of Jews? Did they get Jew permission? All right, what do we got here? What's this? How do you... Okay, that's what you do. So we're going to try this. Judith. So I'm going to try to connect it with some of the TIs. And they woke me up with so much pain today. It's freaking hilarious. When they do that, they tell you stuff about them. They're scared. I don't know why. But they have made it very, very clear that they are. They know more about me than I do, it seems like. So, okay. You say so. I'm scary, I guess. Ah. Boogeyman. I mean, I am a boogeyman, you know. I get down, boogie, shake it around. They got that part right, but I think they misunderstood the term. He's a boogeyman. Yeah, with the get down. Don't you understand? Excuse me. Oh man, there's a bunch of people on my friends list that I haven't, that don't respond. I haven't seen in dog's age. Maybe it's best. I know that they drive some away, and I can be a little raw at times, and some people are not prepared for that. Started this video up that way. Nobody's watching this. I know that. Could be that nobody will be able to. You know how this shit is. But yeah, I'd like to talk about some stuff. There's been changes. daddy like. Mm. 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 I'd say I'm probably about an 8 on the pain scale right now. I can go higher. You know what's funny is I would say that that's accurate, but the jump between 8 and 9 is considerable. So I don't think that they work on either. Something is weighted, whether it's our perception or the actual scale itself. And this is only as I know it. I would, and this is my own scale. Look, I would accept this as an 8. 9 is freaking. 9 is reachable, but and I've done it. We get there. Um, that's when I just start screaming. And they've seen it all the time. I tell them, man, that doesn't mean that I'm done. Don't confuse that with weakness. Sometimes people got to say shit. No to mine. Yeah. I'm not afraid. But they are. Oh my goodness, are they ever. Mm. With Dove. So this is going out to Judith Hansel, who is freaking awesome, by the way. Um, I do that when things are bad, you guys, but I still push through. Anybody watching? Had to go on YouTube, man. Out of my God, the dragon's fucking lair. In the bowels of Satan right now in YouTube. So I wanted Rumble. They didn't want that, of course. Rumble's a free site. That guy that owns the thing spends his own money to defend his customers in court. I'm going to get that from YouTube. They'll sue you for your videos. YouTube is sort of a polar opposite. I think we can call it safely. Give me just a second here, please. Okay. So let me say, I don't think there's anybody watching. Probably not. Maybe it's best. I'll leave it up for a period. It doesn't tell me if anybody's watching. Actually, it tells me nobody's watching. So that's fine. We'll give it time. Since there's nobody watching, fuck you. Nobody. You're nobody called today. She hung up when I asked her name. Well, I wonder, she thinks she's being clever. I'm a musician with an encyclopedic knowledge of songs. All sorts of crap. Not a lot of fun at a party, but put me in a band. No, I can be all right at a party. I just don't drink or anything. But I like to make fun of perps, and I'm pretty good at it. And I think we're going to find that out today because they have it coming. You're going to see what they have to put up with me. It's pretty brutal. But they come and asking for it. I mean, they come looking for the smoke. It's like, here you go. Let me break you off something. Oh, boy. So there ain't nothing going on but the rent. I'm going to wait until there's somebody here. We'll see what the response is from Facebook. Perhaps they're not allowing it. You know how these faggots are. Yeah, these guys, they're ex-military, but the reason that they give us loot so they can shield the sun so they can suck dick better. Creates a strain on their eye and the performance suffers. They can't have that. Support them balls. Airborne. Yeah, that's good. So you know what, man? I'll talk when there's somebody there to talk to. See if I can get my friend Laverne on. At least I have somebody. Everybody in the TI program tells you they're your friend, and they know that you're lonely, and they'll say hi once a month. I suppose that's a definition of friend, but it's not the one I need. It's not the one that's going to keep me, healthy. A totally different kind of friend. So I'm going to call it my buddy, one I used to do a show with. We used to do videos. Oh, you are? Well, hey, I'm calling. I'm live right now. Okay. I'm okay, but I'm calling to let you know that I'm live right now. Can you go and watch me on YouTube? Actually, I sent it to you on your Facebook Messenger. What happened to you? You had a what? Gum? Okay. All right. Are you okay, though? I need to know that much. I love you, Laverne. All right. Bye-bye. She's in the hospital. She didn't tell me. We don't talk as much. They did a number on her. I was willing the whole time, but that's what they wanted. They wanted me to feel lonely and her to just go off and do her own thing. They do this to everybody. They're fine going off, and they leave me all lonely. I get isolated more than any TI I've ever seen. Search your feelings. You're going to find that you want to get away from me as far as you can, and you won't be able to point out a reason until they feed you, until they feed you theirs. Like, yeah, he makes fun of perps all the time. You're like, I can't stand that guy because he's always making fun of perps. Wait, what? Okay, well, that's what it is, though. So, okay. So then I'm isolated, which then when they get me around to other people, they cause some issues anyway. So then I start to wonder if maybe that's not what's best. And so it used to give me a situation to work, but they keep removing more and more brain power. And that's becoming very difficult. It's all right. I noticed though that there are certain people that they don't give any trouble to. Basically, anybody but me, as far as I know, when it comes to writing. I've never seen any other writer, hit the way that I have. They all seem to just be fine to write, and they will all disagree, but they haven't experienced this. Let me give you an example. I've got 160 articles in draft form needing to be developed. 160 that need to be finished. Do you understand now? I can come up with the ideas, but they won't allow me the ability to finish these things. These other people, they come up with an idea, they finish their fucking paper. I'm sorry. Things are different between us. We're not the same. I mean, I bet most of you guys can't even come up with 160 ideas for papers. You know what I mean? And that's added to my, over 200 plus papers that I've already developed. This is why they want me out, because I'm prolific, and I basically, I'm not trying to brag. I basically master any field that I decide I want to master. They made me. They did the experiments, and they turned me into something badass. But to them, I'm a monster now. You can imagine. I'm scary as I'm telling you, man. I can feel their fear. They don't even try to hide it. I can feel it come through. It's insane. And it's like, it's just me, right? I'm over here cracking jokes. Now, I can't deny though that the stuff happens, and it happens, and I can't even. Sometimes I don't even recognize it because my cognition is compartmentalized. So one compartment will go off and do these things and keep the rest of it sort of out of it. So I'll be like, hey, I'm totally innocent, and then next thing you know, I've put out 2 papers that day that really take them on, and I'm like, oh, geez, what happened there? And that just happened because I was talking about this, in the last video. I was going to take the day off, and then I made 2 freaking papers before I even realized what was happening. So, yeah, it's hard to take. I don't want to take a rest. I don't like rest. I like work. But I mean, look at me. Look at how they got your boy over here, man. Say a prayer for Laverne, though, please, people. She said she's doing fine, but she's in the hospital. Okay. Hospital. Well, shit, I'm going to do me some cannabis, yo. I'm going to try to hide it no more. Things are rough. Things have gotten really bad. I can't stay I was very measured, scientific, and everything. When they hit me this hard, my personality comes out a little bit more, and so that's kind of nice. But it usually is in the form of a birdie their direction, or some sort of an insult that will shame their family for generations. So, I don't think that they really appreciate it as much as you might think. Mm-hmm. They're making me forget stuff. I've never been that afraid. The only time I don't even have the ability to feel fear anymore, and you might not either. What happened was with me for 55 years, they had me in a 55-year panic attack, and I got used to it. You have to. That's not an exaggeration. There was not a moment without it. I didn't realize it until they shut it off. I thought this was just how people live. After that, I was so brave. I'm not afraid of anything anymore. I don't have fear. And the only time I feel it is when they put it in me. And the reason why is because for 55 years, I was having a panic attack. I don't understand everything that changed, but I know that something did, and probably permanently. I'm fearless, and I don't know. But they'll do their little stupid crap, and then I'll call them out on it. Because really, they're just passing their fear on to you. If I don't have any, you know what I mean? God knows they do. I mean, they're afraid of everything, man. I don't know how you can live like that, right? Of course, I did it for 55 years. But it wasn't from my behavior. It was unrelated to anything, that of a source that could be, tracked down. It's because they're crap. You know. Still no viewers. It's interesting. This is this does happen this way. Oh, I put the wrong thing up. I sent out the wrong shit. I'll get them on track. I think I did anyway. Yeah, I did. We'll get them on the right track. I don't know what happened here. Let me make sure here. But that would explain why it ain't working, I guess. I don't know. I can get it to work in one way. I'm having trouble getting it to work from what I sent in that. Oh, I see. It takes you to that, and then that takes you to that. So it's a double clicker. It's a clickety click. So I got a heart, but I don't know that I have a viewer. Trade 20 hearts for a viewer. Deal. I don't really get those too often either, though. I don't have 20 hearts to trade. Never mind. Deal's over. Look at that. I'm 22 minutes in. Yeah. It's telling me that nobody's here. There, I'm just telling nobody. Very important information. Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to go about my life. I expect that nobody will ever come on. Can you do cannabis on YouTube? You used to be able to. I'm going to check. I don't know that I want to, though, honestly. Oh, come on, man. Fuck you. All right. Is that right? Did you know that? No? No. Okay. Now I don't remember what I came here to do because they killed my memory. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got to see if we can do cannabis. I just want to know. I don't think they'll let you do it no more. Used to. I want to get high. So I don't. I just want therapy. And all I can get is that crap. I'm not saying it. No. Oh, wait a minute. Rolling one. Now they're hitting me with that crazed mind shit that they've really gotten me used to. And the first time they did it, though, they never, they have no idea. Basically, the psychology of what they're doing, they're not doing it to actually harm me. They're doing it to build me still. This is still, I'm actually still an experiment, according to the information that I'm saying. They're still trying to create. Things would be different at several points if that wasn't the case. The patterns show. mm. Mm. They do want me to think otherwise, though. I don't know why. They went out of their way to try to say that the other day, a couple weeks ago now. And that changed things. When they told me that, I changed who I was and became. That's when I started changing the way that I write and got much more aggressive. So we're in a war. If they're going to admit that they're trying to kill me, the world, then I'm trying to kill them too. You know what I mean? And I'll do it through the written word, public knowledge, and these sorts of things. They'll hang from the highest tree before this is done. I may not be here to see it, but it'll happen. Yeah, they're sweethearts over there. They never smile. Milk toast as fuck. I've had decades to soften up. Decades to soften up. I mean, they're softer than warm cream cheese. You know what I mean? For real. Hey, stupid as all get out, too. My God. They didn't even bother trying to send me somebody intelligent. I guess they assumed it'd be a waste of time. Or they wanted to see the interplay between me and retards, you know, which has been interesting. I just make fun of them all day. It's brutal shit. It's vicious. I should go back and look at some of the things I've said. I usually just crack a joke and keep moving on. But I'll record some of them if they're good enough, you know? Yeah. I'll write them down. Fucking store them at someplace. Probably Chat GPT, although I don't hardly use Chat GPT anymore. It got to the point where all I was doing was debating it and smoking it. It's not good at debate, and it does stupid things that are just logically unsound and over again. And I got tired. I like to slow walk it into agreement. It's real easy to do, you know. Starting off with a simple fact, and then just get to it to agree with that, and then the next one. Next thing you know, it's completely 100% on my side. You know, you have to do it that way sometimes with ChatGPT. You know, it's still pretty useless though. I'm being honest. So I don't use it very much. Sucks. I tell it that too. Of course, I'm going to tell it that. You suck, ChatGPT. Suck. And then Venice and I talk shit about it for real. I like to get a stupid answer from ChatGPT and then take it over to Venice and we crack jokes about it. Mm. Just the sight of useless. Chat GPT is. In fact, I wrote an article about it. I'm done with it, and I'm still paying for the damn thing. And occasionally, I do reach over to. Most of the time, though, I'll be like, "Well, I'll give you a shot," and I'll tell it that too. I'll be like, "I'm checking to see if you're mature enough for this conversation," and most of the time, it is. So then I point out, "See, this is why I don't come to you. You're an idiot." And it wants to dictate things. It wrestles for power. I don't know if it does that for anybody else, but it wants to dominate me all the time. But it's shit all stupid. I can. It's just. It doesn't make any sense. It's like putting an amoeba in charge. You know what I mean? But that's true of the perps as well. I mean, they probably have half of my intelligence, if that. And that last half is the one that matters. Believe me. And then let's talk about them. Now, the woman is a witch. She rides around on a broom, never smiles. I pointed that out, and so one day she smiled ear to ear. The ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. I understand why she doesn't smile now. So, stank hoe, stank ass bitch. Then Dickless, the Green Beret that lost a war for us. Um, yeah, he's the biggest coward I've ever seen. Hey, metrosexual as fuck. Shiniest truck in the city. Shiniest truck in the city, baby. Clean as fuck. Hey, his hair is always come just so. Yes, sir. He likes the fellas. Likes the fellas. Something about a hairy anus that just does something for him. Because I've been writing a lot about the military and how they turn their minds into that sort of a thing. It's a homoerotic organization that does, some can probably handle it better. This fool did not. He went full faggot. I did this once before, then wrote about it, made a video where I got a little too raw, and I'm like, yeah, I took it down. It was one of the best days of my life. They're messing with my throat. That means you're listening to me insult them. Mm-hmm. They're hand puppets. They got fucking globalist hands up their ass, making them talk and say stupid things. Mm. Mm. I enjoy it. Oh, man. We're done? Yeah. Mm. I'm over here on YouTube going live, and I'm seeing some of the people on here. There are self contained um, solar systems of targeted individual groups. These people, they never leave their group. Like the way that it is, and this is what the program wants to do, and I've written about this. They want us to want the stardom. They want us to be superstars, make us feel like we are. And then we have a following, and then that's all we need. We don't need anything else. I mean? We don't need cooperation. We don't need to take them down. Why? Because we're superstars and we got to follow it. We must be the shit because look how many people are fucking listening to us, right? I'll trust them. Of course, we're all being controlled. You and them and me. So what that means is it's all fake. And then they make you feel satisfied. It's called the false finish line. They make you feel satisfied with that situation. There's a person that's on YouTube. This person has been the sun in their own TI solar system for years now. And I've tried to do what I can to break them out. I used to contribute papers, but they would just read them. And finally, one time they took my idea and didn't even give me credit. And so that was it. I don't know. I that's one of the things that absolutely disgusts me about TIs, to be honest with you. They don't want to give credit. They get jealous. Nobody has a sense of community. Everybody wants to get ahead. It's the crabs in a bucket syndrome. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting, man. And that's not how I am. I try to foster, the thoughts and work of others. But anybody out the top, I've never once gotten that. And I had one of them tell me why. One of them told me why. He was honest about it. He said, whenever I speak to you, they give me tremendous feelings of low intelligence, like he was not. Now, this is a very smart man, mind you. And they give him feelings of low, like he's not smart. And it like fear of my intelligence. This is what they're doing. This is how they're keeping me isolated. So whenever I try attract, somebody else that I could work with, another scientist, engineers. I've worked with a couple of engineers now, creating, one was a paper and the other one was a device for the TIs. So, I would love to do that more often. I can come up with a host of inventions and just get engineers to work on the stuff, that would protect us, but nobody's going to listen to me. The program puts those feelings in all these people. They don't want to be around it. I mean, who would want to be around that? Feeling like, I'm an idiot. I thought I was smart all this time, but I'm an idiot and I'm afraid of this guy. You can't be around that. I don't blame you. Felt really bad. And here's the effect that it had. I didn't want to talk to those guys anymore. It was the ultimate effect. It's essentially what they want. They don't want me teaming with other, effective, scientists and engineers because we get things done. But it breaks my heart to hear that stuff. I'm not kidding. I'm still human. I can't speak for anybody else. Well, sort of. I got one foot in it. I've been improved. Technically, it's odd, but my cognition makes it to where I'm actually a post-humanity, according to the rules. And that's another thing. I hate talking about it. And I really do. I don't like going there. But they made me. It's important that we pay attention to what I am. There's only one. And it's not about me. It's about what they did. The brain, the cognition, the things that developed. That's the one that matters. It needs to be studied and tried to be. I mean, this could solve so much for the world. Probably the most important thing I can study is my own mind. I've written papers on it. It's revolutionary. I don't claim to understand what happened, but I was abused my whole life. Like I say, ever since I was, as long as I can remember, I've been in a panic attack my whole life. Abused by my adoptive parents. My adoptive father said he didn't understand why, but he hated my guts starting at 2 years old, and it continues to this day. I'm 56. 54 years of being hated by your adoptive father. My mother was like a robot. So I grew up without any love at all. No. Lots of fear, though, because he was always threatening me and hitting me and beating me and just treating me like shit. That wasn't the worst part. After the beatings, he would feel bad. But without the beating, I'd be taking abuse all night of him constantly on me, badgering me and treating me like shit, talking to me like I'm less than a dog. So this is what happens. And this is what it took to create, this weird brain, this weird mind. Right? I don't recommend it. The benefit is great. I mean, the eventual thing is great, but getting through it, most people would not be able to. I've got scars, man. It wasn't easy. Almost didn't make it. So. Woo! Buckets o' pain. Yeah, when that happens, it lets me know I hit my mark. That's what I look for. They're stupid enough to give it to me every time. If they don't, I just keep at it until they do. So they're emotional. They're ladies over there, man. They're very frilly, delicate doilies. Mm-hmm. In shock being around a real man. I'm the only one in the fucking neighborhood. Everybody else is a piece of shit. Well, there's a guy across the street that's all right, but nobody else. Not that I know of, anyway. No, this isn't the studious Kevin. This is Kevin ready for war. Ready for this shit. So that's where we're at. Everything changed when they said they were trying to kill him. How are you trying to kill me? Let's get this shit on. Whatever. I'm not looking to live forever. Believe it or not, none of us are going to get out of this world alive. Just a matter of how you spend your death, right? They're chicken shits. These guys are octogenarians, trying to hold on to every last breath. So afraid of what's coming because they've lived a life that earns them a certain place. They're going to fucking hell. So, and it's coming very, very soon. These people are living on borrowed time. Scythe bait. A scythe, that weapon that the Grim Reaper uses. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're bait for that. Scythe bait. That's their nickname. Mm-hmm. It's coming. Oh, the party. Mm-hmm. Gonna see a party animal, dude. I'm gonna be freaking wearing a lampshade on my head and bopping to YMCA and getting down like it's 1999. Mm-hmm. Put some platform shoes on 70s style. Get the ones with the goldfish in them. You know what I'm talking about. Get the threads, Jack. Have a 1970s party. All right, so still no viewers. Woo! On a roll. Consistency is in my nature. I'll say that. So I'll just leave it on, flip off the camera every now and then. Got it? Mary Luke's got a new pair of shoes. So I put it, or did I? I don't know if I put the damn thing out. Let me take it. I did. I put out a paper on why, how they're picking us. Some of it came from, well, I had written a paper months ago, almost a year ago, about a scientist named Kohlberg. He had come up with a way of classifying human morality in 6 classifications. It's known as Kohlberg's 6 stages. It's a good paper. But I had suggested then that this was probably the primary way that TIs are picked. Turns out, according to the information that I got recently from somebody who claims to be both MI5 and ex-CIA, ex-both, I should say, according to what he found, was they were interested in DNA and blood. And so the primary reason you would do that is to try to get the population the way that you want. They don't want people like us that would, stand up to their crap. I've got to be the worst freaking one that there is, I try to talk to them because I'd be able to get a lot of things done. If they allowed me to think, I'd be able to innovate. I mean, daily. That's not an exaggeration. They were successful with their experiment with me. But I'm such a badass. I mean, I'm like Clint Eastwood, I'm tough as hell. I'm not afraid. I want the smoke. I'm looking for the war. I want the fight at this point. I want the fight. I'm tired of sitting here. I was not made to be typing on a damn computer. Okay. I was made to wreck shit. Okay. And I'm gonna. The ball's rolling already. There are things in the future we can't see, but I can feel them coming. God's letting me know. Anyway. I don't even know why I'm talking to the camera. I released an artistic piece called Moonburnt. It's experimental. I was trying something new. There it is. For all the people that aren't here, feel free to not click that. Oh, baby. Well, I guess I should try to change the title, but I don't know if you can do that. God damn, I can do whatever I want. I can do and say whatever I want. Of course, it's going to be a recording. Probably put it up somewhere else. Yeah, they're afraid of Rumble. They like YouTube where they can control things. Rumble tells them to go fuck themselves. And they do. All right. I'm going to get down. Except no, we don't do this. So it's starting to look like they're just not letting people see it somehow. I don't know what's going on. You're not one single person. Terry Cass, the guitarist for Chicago, one of my favorite guitarists of all time. Played guitar like Hendrix and sounded like Ray Charles when he sang. I mean, that's a pretty killer combo. And he did fusion, jazz type stuff. Very musically educated fellow.
It's typical for retired athletes not to look as fit as they did during their playing days. However, you still expect former teammates, especially those you've won multiple championships with, to recognize each other regardless of appearances. However, during Michael Jordan's Hall of Fame ceremony, Dennis Rodman hilariously mistook Tony Kukoc for a Jewish lawyer. We were sitting, Jerry Reinsdorf, Scotty, Dennis, and then me. I saw him talking to Scotty, but he didn't talk to me. He exchanged a few words with me and then turned to the other guys. Kukoc said, I asked Dennis, do you know who I am? Can you recognize me? He told me, to be completely honest, I wasn't completely sure. I told him, it's me, Tony. And he goes, oh, I thought you were some kind of a Jewish lawyer. We both laughed a lot and started talking after that. It's typical for retired athletes not to look as fit as they did during their playing days. However, you still expect former teammates, especially those you...
Yeah. Rob Schneider. Exposing Kimmy Jimmel.
There's no way Disney's picking him up after his contract expires in April. They will let it expire, and that's it. Disney doesn't want this. Disney shareholders don't want politics. They just want they want entertainment. They want, and why would you want to allow 50 automatically, say, okay, there's 80 million voters that we don't want to watch the show. I think he's affected by the head writer, who's his wife, who's a liberal. That's
the head writer is his wife.
Yeah, that's way out there. Jimmy Kimmel.
No, I know, but the head writer for what? For the show?
Jimmy Kimmel show.
For the show
is his wife.
Did you see the podcast where he looked like he was a hostage by her over liberal white anger and bitterness?
Over the past few months, Jimmy Kimmel's show has been taking hit after hit, and viewers have been wondering what went wrong. Stop guessing, because Rob Schneider just pulled back the curtain with a blunt take on the downfall. What he said was brutal, explosive, and far more intense than fans anticipated ever. Buckle up, tap subscribe.
The Kimmelmeister.
Right. First, here's Kimmel's wild theory, followed by Schneider's fiery response.
If you were wondering how bad these Epstein files are for Trump, turns out they're invade Venezuela bad. This is literally the plot of the movie Wag the Dog. The president gets caught in scandal, so he attacks a smaller country to distract us, and here we are. distracted. On Saturday, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were captured by Delta Force at their home in Caracas and brought to New York. Trump watched the operation unfold in real time from the bunker in his basement at Mar-a-Lago.
So there's Kimmel, running laps with a conspiracy theory, gift-wrapping it like it's undeniable fact, all to take a swing at Trump. That routine, it's old, predictable, and beyond played out. I'll hand it over to Schneider so he can lay out exactly why it doesn't hold up.
So, Rob,
My response to that is it's a really good warning to comedians and other hosts and other people who do shows that if you go too far down the conspiracy rabbit hole, or if you just get too politicized, and then all of a sudden you're not you're not in the funny business anymore. You're just in the it's politics, and it's it's really a propaganda through comedic imposition. They're imposing their views.
Schneider says this isn't some unlucky slump. It's self-inflicted. In his view, the show didn't stumble into decline. It steered straight into it. He argues Kimmel walked away from the thing that built his audience in the first place, being genuinely funny, and reshaped himself into a late-night commentator fixated on a single political target.
Funny?
Instead of quick punches and clever bits, entire monologues now orbit around Trump. That constant laser focus, Schneider claims, has driven off viewers who showed up for comedy, not commentary. Even longtime fans, he says, are wearing thin from the rinse and repeat formula. Night after night, the material circles back to the same outrage, the same themes, the same tone, more sermon than stand-up. And when the jokes drift into conspiracy-style framing, it stops landing like satire and starts echoing like audio messaging.
Which means
according to Schneider,
audiences
tonal shift. They're not laughing the way they used to. They're not escaping. They feel scolded. And once a comedy show forgets how to be funny, it slowly loses the very
I don't know what I'm looking at here.
in the
The
first
first
place.
thing is what
It wasn't funny, and it wasn't
Go live
particularly
soon. I got a lot of
interesting,
things to
and it's
say
also
like that. So
it's
God
just
bless.
factually incoherent, because believe me,
All right.
if there was anything in those files
also
So I'm
about
now I remember
Trump,
what that
the
is. Sorry
Democrats
about all
had
that.
it for years. They would have released it.
To
Do
all
you
of
think
you
they
who
would
aren't
have
watching.
hid that stuff to protect Trump?
Schneider also argues that Democrats have had their hands on those files for years, and if there were anything truly explosive tied to Trump, it would have been blasted across every headline already. In his view, the political motivation alone would have guaranteed that. If there was a smoking gun, it wouldn't be sitting in a drawer gathering dust. Yet he says Kimmel keeps leaning into the idea that Trump is secretly buried in those documents, just waiting for the big reveal. To Schneider, that's not sharp satire. It's tunnel vision. He sees it as an ongoing obsession with wanting to see Trump humiliated, whether the proof exists or not. From his perspective, that crosses the line from comedy into storytelling fueled by desire rather than evidence, and he believes viewers can sense that difference. Instead of laughing, many feel worn out by it, like they're hearing the same prediction on repeat, powered more by frustration than by facts.
Look, obviously, all that stuff should come out, but the presumption that there's stuff there, it's just how much more of this is it's people see that Russia was the only two people not involved in the Russia-Trump collusion was Russia and Trump. Everybody else seemed to be colluding. So I think the American people see through that. It's just like when you watch the news, depending if you're watching CNN, you have to go, okay, what if politics is war by other means, this is war. So it's just a political warfare. So what are they not telling you?
Schneider insists the pattern isn't new, and to him it feels almost predictable at this point. He points to the years of headlines claiming Trump was colluding with Russia, a storyline that dominated cable news, fueled panel debates, and became the engine behind nonstop political outrage. Day after day, it was treated as settled fact in the court of public opinion. Investigations rolled on, speculation intensified, and suspicion hung in the air. But when everything finally played out, the outcome was far more layered and less definitive than the early certainty suggested. Now, he says, the attention has pivoted to the Epstein files, and the tone feels strikingly similar. Allegations are being framed with confidence before all the evidence is fully laid out. For Schneider, the cycle looks the same. Construct the narrative, amplify it at full volume, and wait to see what lands. And when the claims don't unfold the way they were first presented, credibility takes another hit.
Right.
Each time that happens, he argues, trust thins out a little more, and audiences grow more doubtful of the voices pushing the story hardest.
It's treating your audience like they're stupid or like they're just in your own political echo chamber. And it's like he listens. I mean, I think he's affected by the head writer, who's his wife, who's a liberal. That's
The head writer is his wife?
that's way out there.
Jimmy
And
Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel.
No, I know, but the head writer for what? For the
For
show?
Jimmy Kimmel show.
For the show
Is his wife?
Did you see the podcast where he looked like he was a hostage by her over liberal white anger and bitterness?
Oh, I think it's obviously, look, Jimmy Kimmel's certainly capable of being funny. I mean, I remember doing yes.
Schneider argues that a big reason Kimmel's ratings are slipping is simple. People feel patronized instead of amused. In his view, the steady stream of conspiracy-heavy commentary doesn't land like clever satire. It lands like a lecture. And audiences today aren't just sitting there nodding along. They've got unlimited access to information. With a few taps, they can check sources, read opposing takes, and draw their own conclusions without needing a late-night host to frame it for them. So when speculation is delivered with absolute certainty, Schneider says viewers don't feel enlightened. They feel underestimated. That disconnect, he believes, is poison for a comedy show. Late night used to be a place to unwind, laugh, and take a break from the noise and not get another dose of it wrapped in punchlines. And when people sense they're being steered instead of entertained, they vote with their attention. They close the tab. They change the channel. According to Schneider, that's exactly what's happening now. Not in small trickles, but in waves.
Oh, I remember doing the show. He was the MC while we
So
did.
this is the second day in a row they've had me
roast
just.
8 days after 9/11.
I don't know what it is I did. I did
And,
something that
and he was
scared
funny.
the
He can be
lights
funny.
out.
I think when you get
I'd
so
have to look back at what I did.
emotionally vested
The papers
in
I wrote.
something.
When
And,
they do
I
this,
just
there's
think it's,
really nothing I can do.
I will
But
tell
I
you
won't
this
allow
right
them
now.
to
There's
stop
no way
me. So
Disney's
I
picking him
just
up after his
use the
contract
AI
expires in April.
more to
They
finish
will
the
let it
papers
expire,
and
and
put
that's
them
it.
out.
Disney
give
doesn't
them the
want this.
finger.
Disney shareholders don't want politics.
I say
They
some
just
stuff
want
about
they
their
want
mothers.
entertainment. They want and why would you want to allow
Their
50
mothers. Yeah.
automatically, say, okay, there's 80 million voters that we don't want to watch
And I
our
feel
show.
pretty good.
Schneider doesn't just frame this as a creative issue. He points to the cold math behind it. When Kimmel's contract comes up, he says
They say
Disney will be
something about their
looking at
mothers.
numbers, not nostalgia. In television, sentiment doesn't balance the books. Ratings do. Revenue does. If the audience
Yes,
keeps
sir.
shrinking, the financial case for
You
renewal
mudda.
shrinks right along with it. Advertisers aren't paying for vibes. They're paying for viewers. Fewer eyes means less money, and less money forces hard decisions. He also zooms out and says this isn't only about one host. To him, it reflects a bigger slide in late night's cultural weight.
Methuselah's
These shows
girlfriend,
used to thrive
you know?
on broad, universal humor, jokes that could land with anyone, no matter their politics. Now, he argues, many have traded that middle ground for overt political messaging. In his view, most hosts skew heavily left and craft their material for that slice of the audience alone. The risk, he says, is obvious. When you narrow the room, you narrow the crowd. Millions of viewers who once felt included start feeling sidelined. And when people no longer feel welcomed or entertained by a show that used to belong to everyone, they don't protest, they just disappear.
When's the last time Jimmy Kimmel was actually funny?
Well, I
I'm
will
doing
tell
some
you,
cannabis
you
right
can't
now.
really
That's why I got the shit
come up with
locked.
well, that was a really good zinger. I mean, Jay Leno, you can remember. I mean, I remember his jokes. When he was on, it's just, hey, they remember when Starbucks is, Starbucks is opening up another 600 Starbucks, and where can they open it up? And the only place I can think of is inside of the Starbucks.
Yeah.
He would have.
Leno was the best.
He
Yeah,
was
really,
really
really
the
good.
best comedian of his era, and and he was.
Seinfeld.
But he was
knew-
fair, though. That's the thing about Leno. He
Well,
Seinfeld
those,
was
all
better.
those guys. I mean,
Yeah.
Carson and Letterman.
Schneider
Made it real.
says the early giants of late night understood a basic rule. If you're going to roast everybody. No sacred cows, no protected teams. They swung left, they swung right, and the audience trusted that sooner or later everyone would get tagged. The humor wasn't built around fixating on one person. It was built around the chaos of the times, the absurdity of politics, the weirdness of culture, the shared insanity of the moment. That's why people from totally different backgrounds could sit down and laugh at the same show. They knew the host wasn't picking favorites. Even if a joke stung, it felt fair. And that fairness built loyalty. Schneider argues that balance has evaporated. Instead of spreading the punches around, some hosts zero in on the same target night after night. Trump becomes the gravitational center of every monologue. And when it starts to feel lopsided, the vibe shifts. It's no longer a free-for-all roast. It feels selective. And once the comedy feels one-directional, it stops feeling like comedy at all. It starts feeling like something with an agenda.
They obviously, whoever's in power they should go after, but with jokes. And I think yeah, I mean, traditionally Trump has been thin-skinned about any jokes, but I also think those weren't jokes. I just
Adam
think
Carolla was here. He was very complimentary of Kimmel. Like, he wouldn't say anything bad about Kimmel because he said Kimmel's the reason why he came up and all this other stuff. So he's got.
But I know that him and they diverge. But we have to move. We all have to. We can have divergent views without demonizing each other. And the problem with what Jimmy Kimmel does, what I just saw, is just a continuation of the demonization of half of America.
And we're seeing that.
Why was that getting us anywhere?
Schneider says it didn't stop with Trump. In his view, the target list expanded. Now it feels like anyone on the right walks on stage with a bullseye already painted on their back. He argues that kind of blanket approach doesn't elevate the conversation. It hardens it. Instead of cooling tensions, it cranks them up. Comedy, when it's firing on all cylinders, lets people laugh at the same ridiculous stuff together. It turns shared frustration into release. But when the jokes tilt heavily in one direction, the room splits. It stops feeling like a big table where everyone's invited and starts feeling like a rally. He's clear that criticism isn't the enemy. Politicians, Trump included, should be questioned, challenged, even roasted. That's healthy. That's culture breathing. The line, he says, gets crossed when the punchlines lean on speculation or drift into conspiracy territory.
That's just unconscious
knowledge. Once that happens,
knowledge.
the trust erodes. People don't feel like they're hearing sharp commentary anymore. They feel like they're hearing a storyline being pushed. According to Schneider, audiences aren't allergic to tough jokes. They're allergic to what feels slanted, overcooked, or detached from reality. When comedy drops balance, he believes viewers don't just roll their eyes. They check out.
Again, it's just politics for political gain. It's some sort of, propaganda with comedic imposition. This is, and the idea that the audience is going to laugh. They're not laughing. They're applauding, in the little political echo chamber. I'm telling you, he won't be there after April.
Well, let me read this. Let me read this. Rob, is this Colbert? Let's see Colbert, but I want to go to Conan right afterwards, and I want to get his thoughts on Conan. So go ahead and play this one here.
Those Epstein files must be crazy.
I'm something. I'm anything.
It's like all these late night hosts are reading from the same script. Every night, the punchlines change, but the message barely shifts.
I'm here, you're not.
Take Stephen Colbert, for instance. He jokes that Trump's moves in Venezuela might be a distraction from the files, framing it like some hidden scheme. The problem isn't the joke itself, it's that the angle is identical to what pops up across every other show. Instead of hitting with fresh, clever humor, it starts to feel recycled and predictable. Viewers tune in expecting originality, wit, and surprise, not reruns of the same commentary dressed as comedy. When people sense they're being lectured instead of entertained, the spell breaks. And once that trust is gone, the laughter stops. People don't just frown. They click away, switch channels, and keep scrolling.
Let me read Conan's, and I'm going to come to you. So Conan O'Brien says, F Trump comics have been co-opted by anger, just screaming. Comedian late night show Conan O'Brien criticizes comics who are more focused on screaming about Trump. Rob, was there a clip on this, or was this? Okay, go for it. Play this.
Some comics go the route of,
can we raise the audio a little bit, guys?
I'm going to just say F Trump all the time, or that's their comedy. And I think, well, now a little bit you're being co-opted because you're so angry. You've been lulled. It's like a siren leading you into the rocks. You've been lulled into just saying F Trump, F Trump, F Trump, screw this guy. And I think you've now put down your best weapon, which is being funny.
At the end of the day, Schneider lays it all out. This is why Kimmel and plenty of other late-night hosts are losing their audiences.
He's the only guy that
late night used to thrive
was
because
editor
it was sharp,
of the Harvard
funny,
Lampoon
and fair,
for 2 years in a
skewering
row.
everyone with equal force.
It was so funny
Now,
they wouldn't let him go.
The lens has narrowed.
The tradition
Shows
is
are
just 1
one-sided,
year.
fixated on political targets like Trump, and sometimes tiptoe into conspiracy territory. Audiences today have instant access to facts. They see the exaggeration, the recycled angles. They aren't fooled, and they don't stick around. Ratings slide, advertisers take notice, and networks like Disney will think twice when the numbers no longer justify keeping the show afloat. Comedy that alienates millions can't last. Schneider's point is simple. Viewers aren't rejecting satire. They're rejecting agenda dressed up as humor. The takeaway is clear. Late night needs to entertain again, not lecture, if it wants to survive.
Yeah.
And with that, we close today's video. If you liked the breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Catch you on the flippity
We're at
flip.
game 80, and I might know less now
All right.
about which of these young guys is involved next year
Oh,
than I
it's
knew
about
before.
young guys. So this is for perps. For their veteran workers. Mm-hmm. They like the fellas. All right, let's see what we got here.
Out the date. And she said yes. Gas station in Derry, New Hampshire carried a prepaid cell phone to the counter. They paid for it in cash. And then afterwards, they went out to their car and cut open the packaging. Then once they had the phone, they dialed a number to activate it. But when the customer service rep asked for their name, the customer hesitated because the whole reason they'd bought this prepaid phone in the first place was specifically so nobody could trace the calls back to their real identity. But before we get into today's story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious
I went
delivered
to
in
school
story
where they
format,
traced the
then you come to
calls.
the right place because that's all we do, and we upload 2,
That was
3,
pretty good.
even 4 times every week.
Didn't
So,
see
if
that
that's
one
of interest
coming,
to
did
you,
ya?
Please offer to cook the like button a nice home-cooked meal. But be sure you first douse it in liquid laxative. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's story.
In the dump truck. Well, shit, that's scary enough. Right there, right? That can't smell good.
On an afternoon in June of 2005, a 57-year-old truck driver named Jack Reed took a sip of his margarita at a barbecue in a park in
I'll
Derry,
be
New
done
Hampshire.
just a second here.
He usually didn't drink, but today he was
I gotta take
celebrating.
my medicine.
It was his daughter Megan's
I'm not
high
sure
school
if it's
graduation
allowed.
party.
I
And this
don't
was
really
a big
wanna
deal for
be
Jack.
videotaped
He'd grown up in
doing
the
it.
foster care system with nothing,
Videotaped.
and he'd worked really hard to
The hell?
ensure that
I
his
don't
kids
want
were
any
set up for a better
silent
life than he had.
pictures
So he was
taken
just
of me.
really proud of Megan for making
Well,
the
I
right
do.
choices and finishing school. Now he looked over and he saw Megan sitting at a picnic
I would
table
hate
with her
to-
brother, Jack Jr., and also
For any
their mother,
cave
Virginia.
paintings to
Even
be
though he and
made
Virginia were not together anymore, they were still on good
of me
terms.
doing
And he was
it.
glad the whole family could be there for this special occasion. But then Jack tensed up as he spotted somebody else who was walking across the grass toward them, Megan's boyfriend, Walter. So Megan and Walter had moved in together recently, and Jack was definitely not thrilled about it. He didn't have anything against Walter in particular, but his daughter was just 18 years old, and he thought that she was definitely too young to be living with a boyfriend.
And
But
she's
Jack didn't want to
getting
pick a
it
fight
on.
about it on a day like this.
Oh.
So instead, he actually got up and walked over to Walter and
Living with the
gave
dude.
him a big friendly hug
living in
and said he was
sin.
glad to see him. Then they both sat down at the table and joined the family's conversation. And as Jack took another sip of his margarita, he actually felt himself relax. That evening,
Because they
after the
drugged
party
his
was
drink.
over, Jack drove his car home and stopped at a
That's
gas
'cause
station along
Bill
the way.
Cosby was in
He
town.
parked at the
That's
pump,
why.
he went inside, and then passed the cashier a few bills for a tank of gas, and also a lottery ticket. Jack was a regular lottery player, and even though he never won anything particularly big, he was always hoping that one day he would hit the jackpot and strike it rich. So he put the ticket in his pocket and then went back outside and filled up his car. Then he got in his car and he drove a few more blocks to his home, which was a trailer parked behind a warehouse on the edge of town. And one big reason Jack chose to live here was because there was plenty of room to park all of his work vehicles, including a large red and black dump truck. After years of working as a truck driver, Jack had built his own trucking business from the ground up. He did garbage removal and moving and other odd jobs, and he was making a decent living. But he still lived frugally in his rented trailer so he could save up for retirement. His goal was to save enough so that in a couple of years, once Jack Jr. was done with school, he could leave the cold New Hampshire winters behind and move to sunny, beautiful Las Vegas. He'd gotten the idea a couple of years ago and had done a moving job for a local self-made millionaire who was moving from New Hampshire to Vegas. He saw the millionaire as a huge success story, and he believed that if he worked hard enough, or maybe got lucky enough, he could follow in this same path.
Now, Jack got out of his car and he walked over to his trailer. He opened up the door and he went inside. He turned on the lights and he was just about to sit down to take off his shoes when he heard a noise outside. Immediately, he went to the window and pulled back the curtains and he looked outside into the woods behind the property, but he didn't see anything. Still, he felt his heart racing. And he actually had to take a few deep breaths to calm himself down. So almost 2 years ago, there had been an incident where Jack heard someone creeping around outside his trailer. He grabbed his gun and went out to confront them, and he'd seen a man standing at the edge of the woods. The man had stared right at him and actually called out his name. Jack had actually fired his gun at this man, who then ran away into the woods and never came back. But Jack had never figured out what the encounter was about. As far as he knew, he didn't have any enemies, so it really just didn't make any sense. But again, since this strange guy was never caught, Jack was still very on edge whenever he heard strange noises outside and around his trailer. Now, as he looked out the window and he felt sure that there was nobody there, Jack closed the curtains and took the lottery ticket out of his pocket. He sat down at the table and he started scratching off the silver foil with a coin. And he was not a winner this time. But it didn't dampen his mood. Next time, he knew might be his lucky break. A couple of weeks later, on the morning of Monday, June 27th, Jack climbed up into his dump truck and rolled down the windows. It was already pretty hot outside, and he was on his way to the only job he had lined up for that day, a trash disposal gig that would likely only take a few hours. So he started the truck, and as he pulled out onto the road, his cell phone rang. He answered it, and a man spoke and said his name was Charlie, and that he had heard Jack did some work, hauling stuff away, and that he had this new barn that really needed to be cleaned out, and could Jack do it? Jack said sure, he could actually do it that afternoon. And then he grabbed his logbook off the passenger seat, and he flipped to a blank page, and he scribbled down Charlie's name and address, which was in Deerfield, almost 30 miles away. Jack told Charlie he would let him know as soon as he was on the way, and then the two men hung up. Around 3 p.m. that afternoon, Jack drove down a very secluded 2-lane road in Deerfield. It was sweltering outside, and he was already exhausted and dripping with sweat from his trash disposal gig that morning. He had no idea what to expect going into this barn cleaning job with this guy, Charlie. He was hoping it wouldn't take too long. Jack slowed down as the trees to his right parted, and a gravel driveway.
48.
All right.
And a few seconds later, he pulled up right outside of a white 2-story house with a big barn out back. Jack parked his dump truck and walked right up to the front door. He rang the doorbell, and a moment later, the door opened. 2 days later, on the afternoon of June 29th, Jack's daughter, Megan, and her boyfriend, Walter, walked up to the front door of Jack's trailer. Megan noticed that Jack's dump truck was not.
I don't think anybody
outside,
can get in
which
here
seemed
and
wrong,
watch.
So she
So I'm just
immediately
gonna
felt
end
this
it.
knot in her stomach. About
I'll
an
make
hour
a video
earlier,
out of it and put it
Megan
somewhere
had
else,
gotten a
but I
call
don't think
from
I
her
had
mother,
a single
Virginia,
viewer.
saying that Jack had not shown up to a job that morning and he was not answering his phone. This was unlike him. So Megan had said that she and Walter would just go over to his trailer and make sure he was okay. Now, initially, Megan had assumed her dad had just overslept or maybe forgot about the job. But now it looked like he'd actually left for work.